This video will be going over the next steps for applicants to the University of California, or UC system, for fall 2021. This is presented by the OCC Transfer Center. So what's next? What do you actually do or need to do after you've submitted your UC application? Here's a quick breakdown. First of all, you're going to update your academic record in the UC application. We're going to go over some basic academic planning tips, so like the eligibility requirements for the UCs. We'll review some important dates and deadlines. We'll discuss how to actually choose a UC campus, quick review of admission status, and also some information on financing your UC education. So first of all is updating your academic record. So this is the transfer academic update, which happens in the month of January. So the priority deadline is January 31st, 2021. You're going to actually go back in and update your fall 2020 grades, and then if any changes have been made to your spring 2021 classes, you'll have an opportunity to change those too. So when you log in, it looks something like this, where it'll say transfer academic update, it'll say not submitted, and then you will begin working on it and submitting it before the deadline. If you have updates that are made after the transfer academic update has been submitted, or if it's a change that you weren't aware of after that deadline, so basically, adding or dropping a course, or failing to earn a C or better in a course, or maybe even enrolling in a new college after you've submitted it, you will need to contact each campus individually. And if you're offered admission, make sure that the campus is aware of the deficient grade or the schedule change. And then just try to keep record of any correspondence. So the transfer academic update is really your last opportunity to update the UCs of where everything's at with your fall grades and your spring classes. So if things change after, it's kind of on you to reach out to those campuses and give them those updates, because otherwise they won't have that information. That's really important for them to have as they make those admissions decisions and as you're offered acceptance to the campus. As far as academic planning goes, here's some basic information on some requirements for UC transfer. So you must have 60 units of UC transferable credit, and that has to be done by the end of the spring 2021 semester. You do not have summer to complete your 60 units, or really any aspects of the requirements. So everything needs to be done by the end of spring. So if a class doesn't go well, meet with a counselor to discuss how you're going to make that happen by the end of the spring semester. You need to have a 2.4 GPA in your UC transferable courses, or 2.8 if you're a non-resident. And often, certain majors at certain campuses will require a higher GPA for admission selection. So that information on the specific GPA requirements for campuses and majors will be found on their campus-specific transfer admission websites. You'll also need to complete the required recommended courses that you need for your major with the minimum grades, and then complete the following 7-course pattern of general education classes by the end of the spring term prior to fall enrollment at the UC. So again, you don't have summer. And the minimum GE for the 7-course pattern is the 2 transferable courses in English, 1 transferable courses in mathematical concepts and quantitative reasoning, and then 4 transferable college courses chosen from at least 2 of certain subject areas. So if you've been following IGETC, then that's going to be covering the 7-course pattern, especially if you are going to have a full IGETC completion by the end of spring. So important dates and deadlines. First of all is January 31st, as I've already mentioned. That's the priority deadline for the transfer academic update. Next is March 1st. So that's typically the beginning of admissions decisions for the fall 2021 application cycle. Then March 2nd is your FAFSA or California Dream Act and the Cal Grant GPA verification. So financial aid related deadline is March 2nd. Next is June 1st, which is your deadline to submit your statement of intent to register. So that's after you've been offered admission and you're actually committing to a campus and saying that you're going to be attending that school. Next is July 1st, and that'll be the deadline for final official transcripts to be sent. So you're not sending those transcripts unless requested until you've actually been accepted and committed to a school. And at that point, you'll send final official transcripts with all of your grades and everything posted. And then July 15th will be the deadline for any official AP, IB, CLEP exam results to be sent. So if you have AP scores, you'll be sending those directly from the College Board to the school that you're going to be attending. Admission status. So when you're offered admission to a UC, the type of admission it is provisional. So they're basically provisional until the campus receives your final official transcript and verifies successful completion of all coursework required for UC eligibility. So they basically need to make sure that everything you reported is accurate because they've admitted you based on information that you self-reported in the application. So they're kind of crossing the T's and dotting the I's and making sure that you've done everything that you said that you did and done everything that you said you were going to do. And of course, meet all the eligibility requirements needed for admission. And each campus provides newly admitted students with conditions for admission that must be satisfied prior to enrollment at the university. So that could be requiring certain grades in courses. So it's important to pay attention to the wording of your provisional admission so that you know what needs to be done to maintain that admission. You can only submit one positive statement of intent to register. So basically, you can only choose one campus. And you can't transfer that acceptance from one campus to another, so you'll want to wait till you hear back from all of the schools before you commit. And you will also submit a $250 non-refundable deposit when you're doing that SIR. Some campuses may have a wait list for certain majors. In the past, Davis, Irvine, LA, Riverside, and San Diego have had wait lists for select majors. And they often extend waitlist offers by the end of April with an opt-in deadline of May 15th. So you're basically choosing whether or not you want to be on that waitlist. And then transfer students will be notified of their final status by July 1st. Now at this point, you may have to be making some decisions about backup plans and whatnot if you're on a wait list. So the Transfer Center can always help you kind of make that decision or talk it through. We're here to support. You can accept waitlist offers from multiple campuses, but you can only accept one offer of admission. And even if you accept a waitlist offer to UC campus, you should still submit an SIR to ensure that you have a place to attend in the fall. So basically ensuring that backup plan. So money, financing your UC education. So some of the estimated average costs for California residents from this academic year, the information is not posted for next academic year quite yet, but you can see a basic breakdown for living on campus versus living off campus. So the fees would be the same whether you're living on or off campus. Same with books and supplies and health insurance, but the variance comes from the cost of room and boards, your housing, and then also kind of personal expenses and transportation. So for living on campus, we have $36,700, and living off campus, $34,100. So again, that's not the cost of just your tuition, but it's everything, including housing and everything. So if you're potentially living at home rent-free, then these numbers would look significantly different because you would be looking at everything except that room and board. So how aid works. Basically, financial aid, you take the total cost of attendance, which includes housing and everything that we just went over on the last slide. Then you subtract gift aid, so any grants or UC scholarships, and you subtract those and you get the net cost. So that's what you as a student and potentially your parent or guardian that's your share of the cost that you're responsible for. And with financial aid, the deadline to submit your financial aid application is March 2nd. You either do the FAFSA or the California Dream Act application. It's also important to do your GPA verification for Cal Grant. And if you haven't received financial aid while you're at OCC, we encourage you to still submit a financial aid application for the UCs, because obviously the cost is much higher than OCC, so you want to see what you may be eligible for, whether it be grants or whether it be loans, etc. The UCs do have a really great financial aid opportunity, which is their Blue and Gold Opportunity Plan. So this is for students with families whose income is less than $80,000 a year, and also who qualify for financial aid. And it basically ensures that you don't have to pay the tuition and fees out of your own pocket if you're a California resident. So it's important to, again, in order to qualify for that, you have to meet certain eligibility, but one of those aspects is doing a financial aid application. So that's important for you to take note of. Next are scholarships. So there are potential scholarships for the campuses. When you're actually doing the UC application, you would have selected some information for scholarships, which you may be eligible for or not. But you can also visit the individual UC campus websites for scholarships. And OCC has scholarships that are eligible for students who are actually transferring the following year. So make sure that you go and do your scholarship application for the next academic year, which is available online, typically from mid-December to mid-February on the OCC scholarship site. And I recommend doing it as early as possible, because sometimes you need letters of recommendation or you have to write a personal statement. So definitely getting on top of that during your winter break is ideal so that you have time to complete it. And definitely recommended to at least apply for those scholarships through OCC. So what should you expect when you transfer? So remember to expect a rigorous coursework. It's going to change because you're entering into upper division coursework at a research institution. You have to plan for a faster pace. Many of the UCs are going to be on the quarter system, which is obviously different than our semester system at OCC. So the classes are going to be shorter and the pacing is going to be different. You need to give courses your priority over work. You need to seek out career contacts early, because before you know it, you're going to be graduating, and you want to make sure that you're connected and have networked and are ready to go in terms of getting hired after you graduate. You want to try to get involved in any way that you're interested in doing so. There'd be clubs, organizations, volunteer opportunities, etc. And then, of course, preparing for your major. So just understanding what your major is going to entail. So how do you actually choose a UC campus? So ideally, you've heard back from the campuses and you've gotten acceptances to multiple schools, and it's a matter of choosing, where do I go and how do I make that choice? So some things to think about are location. Can you stay at home or would you need to move? The campus climate, access to professors, class size and availability, major department. First of all, is your exact major offered? Are you really excited about that department? Do they have special programs within it that excite you? Student life and those types of opportunities. Housing, whether it be on-campus housing or affordable housing in the area. Support programs, honors opportunities, research opportunities. So these are various things that you can consider and do a little research into to figure out which UC campus is the best fit for you. And in order to do that, you can explore the campus through campus tours and open houses. Everything is obviously going to be online or digital versions of those events, but you can find that information either on the campus-specific sites, and the campus representative visits may be also occurring through, online through OCC. So the best ways to be aware of those is to follow our Transfer Center Instagram page so that you can be aware of if we have upcoming rep visits. You can also look, of course, on the OCC Transfer Center website so that you can pay attention to those upcoming events and see if you want to be able to talk to a campus rep and ask them some questions about the school. So that brings us to the close of this video on the next steps of after you've applied to the UCs. If you have any questions, please reach out to the Transfer Center by coming through our walk-in counseling, which happens online. And we are here to support you, so it's best to make sure that you reach out, and also very important to not miss any of those dates and deadlines that were explained earlier in this video. All right. Thank you for your time and best of luck with your UC applications.